viewers, wherever you are, hello and welcome to this new episode of your program, Out of the Box. Atheism, Deism, and Theism, or belief, will be the topic of our program today. Again, of course, they might be the ends of a spectrum, but there are many things that might fall in between. Because we have atheism, theism, but we have also, Gnosticism and agnosticism, and deism, and many more. But before we delve deeper into the crypts of these three definitions, and before I welcome my two very special and distinguished guests, I would just like to make a remark or a disclaimer, if you would like. Okay, so our guests tonight, we have one guest who is of an Islamic background. He is a believer in Islam. The other one is of a Christian, both Orthodox and Protestant backgrounds, but he is currently a non-believer and he is agnostic. But again, I will leave the proper definition to both guests. They can definitely speak about themselves much more better than I would. And again, some people might wonder, especially those who believe in the conspiracy theory, why is it that the guest that believes in God or religion is of an Islamic background, while the person who does not believe in a specific religion and has doubts is a person of a Christian or Protestant or Orthodox background? Well, just to try to answer this as briefly as I can, first of all, to be extremely fair and to be extremely neutral and to be extremely, objective to our dear viewers here, as a program that is broadcasted in both Arabic and English and that has viewers in different parts of the world, to be extremely fair, then I would have to interview people who believe in all different religions around the world, because this program is broadcasted from Canada, which is a multicultural, liberal, and democratic country that welcomes all different beliefs and faith. So thereby, I must interview people who have all these different beliefs simultaneously. And on the other hand, I must interview people who left all of these different faiths again. Another thing to say is that, in previous episodes, including this one, I would invite people to join me. And before I invite someone to join me, of course, I must be fully aware that this person knows what he or she are saying. They have some knowledge, they have done some proper research and digging. So sometimes people do not meet these prerequisites. On the other hand, if I would invite someone who is an atheist or a non-believer, many of them would prefer not to declare that publicly, because they are afraid of being excommunicated from their, church or mosque or whatever, or being harassed or intimidated by their social circles. On the other hand, if the invitation is sent to someone who is a believer, some of them would do it for, I don't want to say very selfish, but for personal reasons, because they would have their own followers and they don't want to lose their own followers if they lost the debate. And again, by all means, today we are not having a debate. We are having an intellectual, high caliber discussion between two people who have different beliefs. Second of all, to be very fair again to believers, some believers would prefer not to show up, not because of selfish reasons, no, but because they fear that if their argument is not good enough, this would be extremely counterproductive and might be extremely hurtful for the faith and the belief itself. Well, having said that, without further ado, I would like to welcome, again, not in any specific order, and with all respect to titles, but I will not use titles here, with all respect to both of my guests, there is Assam Bayoumi, who is a researcher in comparative religions and he's a writer, and he worked again in media for a long time of his life. The other guest is a researcher in different religions, in comparative, religions and theology. And he also did some researches with well-known researchers. If he would like to shed light on some of that, he's welcome to again. So both Assam and Bassem, thank you very much for coming to the program.
Thank you for having us, Mohammed. Thank you so much.
It's a real pleasure.
Thank you very much for having us.
It's a real pleasure. And to start off, I'd like to ask each one of you to briefly. So, Assam, can you briefly introduce yourself? Like, how do you see yourself? You are a believer, but can you just, present yourself?
Yes, just simply, I believe that I'm a human being created by a God. This God, I call him Allah, and he asked me to follow him according to the religion of Islam. Very simple.
Okay, thank you very much. And the same question, Bassem. Please kindly briefly introduce yourself and your view.
I consider myself an atheist agnostic. So atheist in the sense that I don't believe in the God of the Abrahamic religions. Agnostic in the sense is that I keep the question open whether is there a God or a force or a power behind the universe.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much again. So to start off, Islam, I would like to ask you to define to me your understanding of theism or belief or being religious. What does that mean?
Yes, with pleasure. I just want to start first with saying that I used to believe that humanity has arrived, with all the science and technology we have, has arrived at a stage of maturity that is enough to have a strong belief that there is a God who created everything, the universe and the people and everything. But unfortunately, this is not true with what we see around us of different ideas. And I want to have an agreement on something that a person's idea about something is determined by how much knowledge he has about this thing or not. And one more thing, that we are not living in a perfect world. We have a lot of ideas that's distorted or confused from a lot of people. So to answer your question, I believe that faith or theism is believing in something that you don't see in the first place. Because if you see it, you know it. But when you believe something, you believe in something that you don't see. So when you don't see, there are two things. Either you believe in it strongly, and this is faith, or you don't believe in it, and this is disbelief. That's it.
Thank you very much for this concise definition, and I really would implore both of you, please, to try to be as precise and as concise as possible in your answers. So, Bassem, again, how would you define deism and atheism, respectively?
So it's like you have a spectrum and you have two ends of the spectrum. So at one end, you have theism. Theism is confirming that there's a God, the Abrahamic God of the three Abrahamic religions. Atheism is the other end of the spectrum, where atheists are acknowledging and confirming there is no God. They're confirming 100% there is no God or power behind the universe. And deism is like a position just in between both of them, where you believe there's a power or a God behind the universe, but you just don't believe it's the one manifested in the Abrahamic religions.
Okay, thank you very much again. And Assam, like with the thousands of cults, beliefs, sects, and religions out there, and denominations and whatnot, how can you be confident that my religion and my sect per se is the right one, and not all of the others. Like, wouldn't, like, to be fair, shouldn't we make research about all the other sects and beliefs out there? And is that at all possible even?
Yes. Of course, we have to know first or define what is religion before we come to the conclusion that is it correct or not, or we are feeling good about this or not. So religion is as defined in the dictionary. If you open the dictionary, you will find that it's defined as the system of society. And sociology is the study of the system of society. So then the question comes to your mind, do I have to follow a religion before even coming to choosing the right one or not? So, like, because I believe in that there is a God and he created me and he told me through the messenger that I have to follow him through a religion, then yes, I believe in a religion. But if someone doesn't know what to do, he has to go at least through or according to a system of life. He has to choose a system of life. If he's living in a society, he would agree with the society or not. So, as I say, religion is a system of society. Then you have to, if there is a different, more than one religion or more than one system of society, then you can choose between them if you decide to go with a religion. Then when you find, or speaking about myself, when I find that the system of life that sent to me by God that I believe in, which is Islam, that tells me everything about my life, what to do about my life, all the details, small or big, and it tells me my relations with the people, how do I do them, how do I do it, with my family, with my work, even cleaning myself. Then, yes, when I compare it to other religions or other systems of life, yes, I believe that I have come to the right one, and I feel comfortable to it.
Thank you very much. And Bassem, like, one might ask you, like, why leave religions altogether? So if you're dissatisfied with your religion, be it religion A, B, or C, or you're dissatisfied with a specific sect or denomination, why not search for a proper answer in others? Like, instead of just, putting all this all behind you and saying, no, I'm not interested in religion.
First of all, I've tried my best to research the three Abrahamic religions I know of. So I've spent 3 years studying Islam, around 3 to 4 years. And then I started studying my own religion, my own faith, which is Christianity. And a big portion of Christianity is built on Judaism. So it was like studying both. So the issue is I didn't choose. It was not a choice. It was just following the evidence. So what I actually chose is following the evidence. I only wanted to see where the evidence will lead me without being biased, without having presumptions, without having conclusions that I've already reached and I want just to confirm. So when I just follow the evidence, I just wanted to see where the evidence leads me. I found issues in the three Abrahamic religions, and I found issues with the idea of having a God that is described in the three Abrahamic religions. So that's why when I followed the evidence, I reached the idea where I could see that there is no proof there's a God. The question is left open, and the universe is just too huge, it's too magnificent for someone to confirm that he knows the answer. I just prefer to leave it open, hoping one day maybe we can reach an answer.
Yeah,
Yes.
someone will ask again here, like, where is this God that you're talking about when there is this incredible amount of injustice, indignities, oppression, war atrocities, killing, raping, stealing, and so on? Like, where is this God this almighty God, this omniscient God, all-knowing, this omnipotent God, all-capable and invincible God. Where is this God with all of these, vices taking place?
Yes. Yeah, of course, like to answer this question, I have to talk about the epistemology theory. Epistemology theory is the theory that tells you how to understand the world. So when you choose to believe in God, then your epistemology theory comes through this God. So people who believe in God, that there is a God who created the world, believe also that believe in everything that he says. And when he tells us that he is like he watches, but he doesn't ignore. In Arabic, it's yumhil wala yuhmil. So, and he has a wisdom of what's going on in his world. Okay, and he has control over everything, but he has to give time to things to happen. So we have to believe also that all the atrocities we have around us, happening around us, is nothing compared to what has happened in the previous nations, as we have been told by our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace be upon him. We have been told that there were nations before us that the torture to the believers had come to an extent that they would put the saw on the head of a man and saw him down until they split him completely. And they were patient and they didn't leave their faith. Okay, so we believe that yes, there is atrocities, there is a big amount of aggression and unfairness, but we believe that God has this for a reason, and he will come in the right time to correct all of this.
Okay, now Basim, like, why would there be a life without like a God and thereby an afterlife? Because if we completely forget about the hereafter, the afterlife, and then or the eternal life, the kingdom of God, whatever you want to call it, and wouldn't life be absurd? And is it worth living even? Like, one might say, like if there's no God, there's no afterlife, and there's no justice at the end, ultimate justice in the afterlife, then you know what? If I was born with a disability, if I was born with an illness, if I was born to a poor family, or like if I face injustice in my life, I might as well commit suicide. So, what do you say to that?
I say actually it's the other way around. Knowing that this life is the only thing we have, and knowing that there is no afterlife, it makes us cherish and value this life we're living even more. And talking about my own faith, so in Christianity, um, there's a belief where if you leave your life and become a monk and you just go and live in isolation in the desert, you're basically investing in an afterlife. So the result is you're basically sacrificing the only life you have on hand, the only one that you know, for the benefit of getting the best of another life, which you basically have no proof that it even exists. So I see it the other way around. Knowing that there's no afterlife makes me invest and try to have the best of this life and cherish it even more and value it even more.
Okay, so Assam, like, if is this justice that everything is like preordained or predestined? So, like, if I'm born to a poor family and all the family members are outlaws, they're criminals. The only environment that I lived in is an environment of, stealing. It's an environment of counterfeiting, of forgery, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then I end up to be a criminal too. So why should I be penalized for this? And I didn't choose this environment. On the other hand, a person who's born in a very, very, to a very wealthy family, living a life of extravagance, and at the same time, his family have to be very, happen to be very religious and very abiding and steadfast. Why should he be commended or rewarded for this? Like, is this justice at all?
Yes. Yeah, of course. As it stands, it doesn't look like fair at all, of course. And this is the reason many people get deviance from the religion or leave it completely. Okay, but the answer for this is a very simple one. Like, if you answer the previous questions the way I did, then you will come to the answer very easily. So the most important thing here is that Allah or God told us that He created us and brought us to this life for a purpose, for a job. This job, as He stated it, is to worship Him only. Okay? So to worship Him, you have to have a faith in Him. And this faith, He said, it will be tested. And He told us that the test, you don't decide the test. He will decide the test. And He will decide when the test, the shape of the test, the length of the test, and everything related to the test. You don't decide anything about it because you didn't come to life by your will. He brought you, right? Then He has the right to decide the test, the shape, the length, and the end of the test. So the question comes out from this discussion, this test might vary, right? You might find someone who is very poor. You might find someone who's very rich, and this looks unfair. But as I said, God has His specific test for everyone. But the amount of the test, the power of the test for everyone in front of God is the same. God says in Quran that He will not assign you something that you can't do. And in another one, He says, وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالْخَيْرِ وَالشَّرِّ فِتْنَةً أَتَصْبِرُونَ. This is for all humanity, not only for Muslims only. God says in English that He would test us with the good and the bad, not only the good or the bad. Because most of the people think that the bad things are only the test. No, you might be tested with a lot of money, with a big fortune, with a lot of health, of power, how you will use it. So the simple idea is that this is unfair. But if you look at it in general, you will find it completely fair. And as I said, most of the people think that, let's say for Muslims, for example, they think that all of them will go to Jannah or heavens. And this is a very wrong idea. Mm-hmm. And maybe the other people, followers of the other religions, they have the same thing. No. What decides Jannah or Nar, or heaven or hell, is your mark in that test. And God only is the only one who will decide to give you the mark. Very simple.
Okay, so before we continue further with our discussion, let's stop with our dear viewers to watch a short report about the basic ideas of atheism, deism, and theism, and we'll be back one more time. Atheism. Atheism is not an asserted belief that there is no God, and it does not answer any other question about what a person believes. It is simply a refusal to affirm the existence of gods. Atheism is not a refusal or denial of the gods. It is not believing in gods. Deism. Deism is the belief in the existence of a higher being, specifically of a non-interfering creator in the universe. Deism believes in the existence of a creator based on reason, but refuses to believe in a supernatural deity interacting with the human race. Deism refers to what might be called natural religion. or the acceptance of a particular body of religious knowledge that is inherent in every person, or that can be acquired using reason. And at the same time, it rejects any kind of religious knowledge when it is obtained through revelation. Theism. Theism is the view that all finite or infinite things depend in some way on one supreme or ultimate reality that one can also speak of in a subjective sense. In Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, this ultimate reality is often called God. So, in which direction is the world heading? Hey, dear viewers, after watching this short report about the basic ideas of our episode today, we'll back to our discussion. And Basim, what about the afterlife? If we totally think that afterlife does not exist, then so what will happen to major tyrants like, Hitler, et cetera, and so on? What will come of them? And again, people who are oppressed from beginning to the end of their life, again, isn't this absurdism, really? Isn't this absolutely absurd, meaningless?
So definitely there's things in life that are unfair. So no one can deny that. Life has lots of aspects that are not fair. So our job, or what we try to do as humans, is try to make it as fair as possible. Now, believing that there's a God in the end that will make everything right and that will punish the bad and that will reward the faithful, I don't think it helps us try to make this world a better world. It basically throws the burden on God to make things better. But when we start thinking that we should start fixing our own problems instead of waiting for a force from the sky to fix it, we actually started to make life much better. So when we talk about the Western civilization mainly started when they stopped thinking that God is the solution, when they started having secular thinking, secular countries, when they started putting aside religion and they started thinking of how to fix their own problems, there was a major breakthrough in our standard of living, in our sciences, in medicine, in every aspect of life. If you compare the standard of living and the knowledge we have just in the past 200 years compared to 300 years before, you will find a huge difference. If we have a time machine and we go back 300 years ago, you would find the standard of living is basically similar to what it was 2,000 years ago. There was not that much difference. The big breakthrough happened when we started thinking that we should fix ourselves, our own problems.
Yeah, so Assam, this is a question that many people ask. If we go to the very beginning of the story, so according to Abrahamic religions, there was Adam and Eve living in the Garden of Eden, and there are some, little discrepancies in sort of the biblical story and the Quranic story, but more or less it's the same. So there is Adam and Eve who are living in the Garden of Eden, and they were tested through the tree and the fruit, and they should never touch that tree or eat from that fruit. But they disobeyed the divine order and divine will, and then they, they were banished. They were forced to leave heaven and they were sent to earth. But someone might say here, okay, like if I commit a crime, who are you going to penalize, me or me and my son? Someone will say, of course, no, only you. So we are humans, and our wisdom is nothing compared to the, ultimate all wisdom of God. So how, with our very limited wisdom and our very limited justice, that we only punish those who commit the crime, while on the other hand, we are here living on earth and we did not, commit any crime at the beginning. Like, to be fair, we should be also sent to the Garden of Eden and have the same test. And if we fail like our great father, then we should be penalized like him. So we were not told about the test. Like, Adam was there, he was enjoying for a very, nobody knows about how long. He might have been enjoying it for a billion years because we don't know about life in the after or like the previous world. He might have enjoyed heaven for a billion years or so. And then after that, he failed and he was sent to earth. And he saw God with his own eyes. And he was living there. Like, it was not something he heard about. But we don't have any of this. We never saw the Garden of Eden. We never saw hell. We never saw God, and we never went through that test. And we never enjoyed the Garden of Eden like Adam did for a billion years or so. So is this fair at all? Like, does this make sense to you? Like, this story, is this a logical beginning at all?
Yeah, this is a very great question, but it's really huge. I wish I would remember everything to answer, but I'll just go straight to the main idea. You said that Adam had the chance to see God and he disobeyed his orders, then he was sent to land, to earth, and he had some better like positions compared to us who didn't see God and we don't know what's going on. I would say again, let's forget about Adam himself. Let's say that I woke up and find myself here on this earth, okay, and then I'll go through the process. Do I have to believe in a God? How did I come to this life? Should someone created me, or I just came by mistake or by chance, or what is it? I will arrive again with my epistemology theory to the conclusion, yes, there should have been some power that brought me to this life. Ask me again the question, what I'm doing in this life and what I'll be doing after. In this life, the answer that I'll be doing is, yeah, I will notice that there is other people around me, similar to me. They might have different beliefs. Okay, then I will have to choose from those beliefs what is suitable to me. At the end of the day, there should be a kind of choice to cooperate or disagree. Then when you choose to cooperate or to side with some group, then you will have to abide with their rules or laws. Okay, so if this group of people that you decided to go with decide that killing is forbidden, illegal, then you have to abide by this. If you go with some group of people that decide that adultery is forbidden, then you have to respect this. Okay, so as I said before, you will have to choose a system of life, which is religion. So you will have to go according to this religion. And the one I chose for myself, speaking about myself, expressing my ideas, my belief, is a system, a religion that says you have to do this and that, and you have to stay away from this and this and that. Okay? Stay away from killing, stealing, committing fornication or adultery, lying, cheating, doing harm to other people, okay? And do all the good that you can, okay? So then I will not feel oppressed or transgressed upon I will not feel any transgression against me. I came to this life without my own will. Then I will just live the way it should be. Then what's next is decided upon your belief. If you believe, according to this theory, that there is a God, then you will believe that he will give you the compensation, whether you did good or bad. If you did bad, he will punish you. If you did good, he will give you the reward. Okay? Others will, whoever who don't believe in God, then he will face his whatever he will find. Okay? It's very simple. Like there is no contradiction or conflict. And God tells us everyone he has his own will to choose his religion or not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Basim, like again, the flip of this coin would be if you say that there is no God and or like no first cause and everything came by mere coincidence and like there is a difference between the universe and existence. Like, yes, the universe has a beginning, but existence is eternal. And you know, you're saying that, but at the same time, if I show you a pencil and say that this pencil had no creator, no inventor, no like manufacturer, you would not believe me. And again, we have like philosophers, you know, people like Socrates and Plato, they talked about the first cause or the first mover, the first cause. Again, Hegel, he talked about his dialectics, and Hegel is sort of supposed to be like the role model for Marx and whatnot. And when he talked about his dialectics, he again reached the conclusion that there is the ghost or the spirit. He did not call it God, but he said that there must be something that did not come from something. There must be an initiator, a first spark. So how do you see that, like the possibility of somebody not believing in the existence of a God, or not even a God, of a first cause?
So I see the honest position is as follows. The believers confirm that there is a God behind the universe. The atheists confirm the opposite. They confirm that there's no God or there's no force behind the universe. To be honest, both of them, they don't know. Both of them, they don't have evidence to back up their claim. We don't know. An agnostic basically don't know. We honestly don't know what started the whole process. We know how it started. We know that there was a Big Bang, and we know how we got here from the Big Bang to here. We can answer quite confidently through science. But what started the Big Bang? What was there before the Big Bang? It's only honest and humble to say we really don't know. The problem with the believer, he pushes a God of spaces, so he doesn't know. So he just fills the spaces with God. He doesn't know how it happened. He doesn't know how things happened. His answer is God. His God is the God of the spaces. He fills the spaces with God. But to be honest, no one knows. I don't think even humans would even have the tools to go back before the Big Bang. Like currently, we don't even have the tools to go back before the Big Bang. So what we only know is from the Big Bang up to this point what happened. Before that, the honest answer is we don't know. We don't have the evidence. We don't have the tools to know what was there. It's honest and humble to acknowledge that there could be a cause behind the universe, but we just don't know what is it. And we don't have evidence to back up a claim that confirms that it knows who the God is or who the force that created this. The other thing I want to stress on the logic behind a maker, that if you see a pencil, then there must be a maker. This logic, there's a flaw in this kind of thinking. So the believer uses it to conclude that there must be a maker for the universe. But when you ask him who's the maker of the maker, he has to contradict his own logic or this kind of logic and says that the maker made himself. So why doesn't the believer say that the universe made himself? Why does it have to be God who made the universe? Why does he accept that God could make himself, but the universe couldn't make himself? So the logic behind that every manufactured item or every intelligent kind of life or sophisticated kind of life, there must be a maker. It doesn't add up, because when you come up to ask the question, who's the maker of the maker, you have to contradict your own self and say that the maker made himself.
Okay, so going back to Rassam here, like one might say, like, okay, you believe in God and you want to believe in God. Okay, good. But why would you choose a specific religion? Like at the end of the day, all religions would call for steadfastness, for like all kinds of virtues and, to stay away from all kinds of vices. So, like, if in essence they are all the same, so why choose one more than the other? Like, shouldn't belief be a very personal thing? So we have 8 billion believers. Each one would choose whatever way they'd like to communicate with their God, as long as they are doing things that would, help humans. And at the end of the day, everything that's forbidden is something that affects the human, like mental, physical, psychological, sociological well-being, and everything that promotes and works for the well-being of his psychological, physiological, mental and whatnot health is recommended and is commended by the God. So why would I choose religion A and not B? And why not choose a variety of religions? Like in before, the pre-Abrahamic era, I would be able to believe in multiple gods or multiple faith. I can believe, if I'm in Rome, I'd act like Romans, like the saying says. So I can worship the Roman gods. Then when I go to Greece, I can worship the Greek gods. When I go to Egypt, I can worship the Greek gods. And at the end of the day, all these gods, call for good things. So why can't we do this today?
Very good. I think this makes it easy for the cause of Islam, for the only religion that's complete. Like, I just want to go back to your point that when you said that all religions are similar or the same. It's not the same or not similar, I mean, but it might be the same in origin, in theory. How? We as Muslims, we believe that all the religion from God is Islam. The one thing, it's just one thing, and God just kept updating it through the different messengers with the same message, but with an updated version of it. Okay? So, in essence, yes, the religion in origin is the same, but we had some different versions of it. Islam, we say, is the most complete one, and the final message of God, and the other religions had, down the history, got some distortions, and this is acknowledged, and acknowledged by many of the believers of those religions, whether it is this or that. So when you tell me why a specific religion rather than the others, I would answer you because I had made my mind time and time and time, and I found that Islam is the most complete one. And I go back to a point that is like people think that any Muslim would go to heaven, and this is not true. And same applies to the other religions. The heaven's criteria is not just saying the word, I believe in this or that. Okay? It takes belief, it takes work. And the most important in your beliefs and works is your behavior. How you treat the others, not only yourself. If you pray, if you are honest, like don't cheat, this is something to yourself. But how you treat the others, you don't harm them. This is the most important criteria here. So again, To choose is to make your mind, and you have the comparisons, and you have the freedom. In Islam, according to the Quran, according to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, you are completely free to choose what you want, but don't impose it on me, and I don't impose it on you. And there is a big misunderstanding in history, by the way, that Islam has been imposed by sword, by force, which is completely wrong, and it has been refuted by the fair historians and fair academics who gave the witness that Islam has been spread by the good morals, the good ethics of Muslims.
And yeah, just a follow-up question here again. So, you know, here we're asking like, why not? Yeah, like my initial question was why choose a specific faith and not the others? But again, is it fair that I spent all my life doing great deeds and good deeds and helping other people and creating great inventions and innovations to further improve other people's lives and to, you know, reduce the different burdens on them. And after all that, just for not worshiping the God in a specific way, although in essence I followed all of his orders. So in all religions, he said, don't cheat. I didn't cheat. In all religions said, don't steal. I didn't steal. I did not rape. I did not do anything negative. But at the end of the day, I will last in eternal hell, just like another person who completely ignored God and was, you know, like just destroying and raping and hurting and so on. Is this fair at all?
Excellent. I have a very straightforward answer for this, and that's an analogy. Let's say that you have two people. Both of them are willing to study medicine, for example. Okay, one of them applied to a university, okay, and the other one is not. Both of them have worked hard and did all the research needed for this, okay? And at the end of the day, both of them are coming with their conclusion of their work, their production, whole production. So the one who has applied to the university, he has a place to submit his work, right? The other one, where he would submit his work. So the same thing applies to the belief. If you believe in God, then God will accept it from you and deny. He will accept the good deeds and deny the bad deeds, okay? But the other one, who would he talk to? Very simple. So it's fair, yes, that the one, like, yeah, most people will say, this inventor, the one who invented the lamp, the bulb, Edison, or who invented the whatever, how come this guy go to hell? Okay, apply the rule of the university. He didn't talk to God at all. So, and God answered this in Quran. If people read Quran thoroughly and educatedly, they will find that God said that. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I just missed it now, but it means that إنما يخشى الله من عباده العلماء. Okay, and in other things, the meaning that if you have all the wealth in earth and you don't, and to come to Allah without believing in Him, He will not accept from you anything. And He made it clear. So it's your role, or the people's role, the person's role, is to search thoroughly and honestly to himself. If you can deceive the world, don't deceive yourself. And don't deceive yourself that say, oh, I did this research and this is enough for me. It's up to you. In the end of the day, you're free. You have your religion and we have our religion. That's it.
Thank you very much. And Bassem, please, like again, don't non-believers miss God in their life? So many times people are desperate. There's no place, there's no safe haven, there's no place they can resort to, no one they can resort to. And sometimes the oppression is or actually very frequently, the oppression is too mighty and too strong. And there is no hope at all, down the road, at the end of the tunnel, that there can be any kind of justice. Now, for believers, they would extend their hands to God and they would pray, or they would have this feeling within them that, eventually, sooner or later, I'll get what is mine. And whoever stole my right will be penalized for it. Don't non-believers miss that? Isn't that a major thing for your psychological and cognitive well-being as well?
Yes, so I just want to respond to the analogy Mr. Assam mentioned. So the problem with his analogy is that with a medical universe, there's an agreement between everyone in the medical community that this university actually gives you a certificate for medicine. The problem is with religions, there's no agreement. No one knows which religion actually gives you the certificate. So there's a disagreement between all religions, which university is actually the university that gives you the certificate. Whereas with the medical, like a University of Medicine, there wouldn't be that disagreement. So if someone doesn't apply to this university, they're going against like the medical community. This is their choice. With the other way, with religions, it's not that simple. There's lots of religions. They're all claiming to be giving you the certificate to become a doctor, or like in his analogy, to go to heaven. But we just don't know which one is right. Answering your question, so I find the best way of living is to try to be happy and make others happy. So to be happy is try to improve your life, try to value your life, try to enjoy your life while being a helpful, active person in your community to make others happy in your inner circle, like your family, and your bigger circle, like your community, trying to do good and benefit your outer circle and your community too, by working hard, trying to do a positive contribution to your society and to your community. I find this is the best way of living. It gives you value, and you find your value from getting satisfaction and happiness from your own life, and from the life and from the happiness of the people around you, and for doing good for the people around you. You don't need to have an imaginary figure, like a figure that you make up just to be happy and have a meaning for your life. You can just do it by the way I just explained it.
Okay, thank you very much, Bassam. And Assam, one might say again, you guys keep talking about religion as the one and only way to virtue and to like a utopia, like heaven on earth, really. But let's talk about let's see actual examples on earth. And so let's talk about religious societies. And how did religion help these religious societies become better societies for other humans? Like, what did they give? What kind of goodness did they give to the rest of the world? Like, what kind of inventions or innovations? That's one aspect. Another thing, again, how did religion help stop all different kinds of injustices and raping, killing, stealing, fraud, embezzlement, etc., etc., etc.? So why bother us and keep nagging us all the time with religion, if it doesn't, at the end of it, amounts to nothing?
Is a question for me?
Yes, please. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I would stop at the expression religious societies. So what do we mean by religious societies? What is the definition of a religious society? Because it's like very loose definition, okay? So we have to find some guidelines for what is a religious society. Is a religious society enough for the people or the individuals of the society to do the ceremonial stuff, the right rituals only, like praying, for example, or fasting or whatever? I don't think that this is enough, because what is more important is how they deal with each other. Okay, that's why in our belief, which is Islam, we are told that the religion is the treatment of how you deal with people. It's not only salah or the praying or fasting. This is just between you and God. This is to clear your responsibility, because God asked you to do this and that. Then the most important thing is to how you treat people. And this is another meaning of jihad al-nafs. Jihad al-nafs, which is really and weirdly misinterpreted in the Western society and Western culture. That is something horrible and something very terrorizing, which is not. Jihad in general, jihad, at one time when Muslims finished a battle and they came back, Prophet Muhammad said that we came from the little jihad or struggle to the bigger struggle, which is jihad in nafs, the self struggle, struggling with yourself to keep it on the right path of not harming anyone, and of course not yourself, by not doing the bad stuff. Okay, so we don't have religious societies on earth, including, I believe, I include everything, even the Muslim societies. There is no perfection right now. And I remind you, as what I said in the beginning, that we are living in an imperfect world, which everything is distorted now. Everything is not going in the right way. Like morals and ethics are in its lowest, since even worse than 2,000 years ago. People in the time when they called it the time of jahiliyyah or ignorance, complete ignorance, were much better than we are now, or what we have now. So we can't say that we have religious societies in the first place to judge them. When they come up to the level of the definition, then we can talk about religious societies. Yeah. I wish I answered the question.
Okay, thank you very much. And same question, but like the flip of it to Masson. If we look at secular societies and irreligious societies, discrimination based on religion, yeah, like they might have solved this problem. But how about things like racism, again, and all the other vices? Like, did they stop stealing, cheating, lying, hypocrisy, etc.? So, like, if you guys keep saying all the time that religion is the source of all evil, is the source of, it has all the divisive rhetoric between, humans. But again, a lot of these secular societies went to war together and killed millions. And so, how do you see that? How do you answer to that?
So I respectfully disagree with Mr. Assam about we're now worse than we were 2,000 years ago. 2,000 years ago, we didn't have any hospitals. We didn't have any charity organizations. We didn't have colleges. We didn't have proper medicine. We didn't have proper science. We didn't have socialized communities where the government takes care of the needy and the sick and the disabled. So these are all products of the secular communities, the new Western civilization that came out of the secular communities 200 years ago. Again, what we got from secular communities is that we got rid of slavery. We got rid of the abuse of women. We got which both actually were very supported by all three Abrahamic religions: slavery, and women being in a lesser social social status than a man is in all three Abrahamic religions. This only happened when there were secular communities. Like the improvement in all of this happened when we introduced secular communities, when you got rid of religion formalizing our life, when we had the international human rights in the 1940s, the creation of the international human rights from the UN in the 1940s. Then we got all this improvement and all this breakthrough in our life, in our status, and in the rights of all different races, and women and both women and men. So yes, secular communities, they have their flaws. They're not perfect, but for sure they're the best way of living we had, that we've tried in the past. We could say very confidently in the past 5,000 or 6,000 years ago.
Okay, thank you for your answer, Bassem. And last but never least, again, of course,
I have a comment before you go ahead, if you don't mind.
Absolutely, yes, please go.
I was gonna hit on the ideas Mr. Bassem brought up, but I didn't want to waste the time all for myself. But two major things. The one thing that yes, we are much better than 2,000 years ago, and I'll confirm this according to history. According to history, 2,000 years ago, Earth, the planet Earth, was rife and filled with aggression and transaggression, and two major powers at that time, the Persians and the Romans, were oppressing their citizens to the extent that they were having no other solution. And that's why when Islam came to salvage those citizens everywhere. And for example, when Islam established its country, its state, it was the first on earth, not the 1940 something charter of rights of such. Islam is the first state on earth that made social help, social assistance for every single person on the land, not only for Muslims. Khalifat Umar, he found a Jew in the market trying to get a job, and he can't. Or in other story, he was begging, and he came to him and he asked him, "Are you non-Muslim, of course? And who are you? Are you a Christian or a Jew?" He said, "I'm a Jew." Okay. Then he said, asked him, "Why are you doing this?" Because he said, I can't work and I have to pay the jizya. Okay. And from this moment, he told his assistants to take him home, take care of him, give him money from the Baitul Mal, or the treasury of the state. Okay. And he assigned money for him, monthly allowance for him, and for everyone in his position, the same as him. Okay. And this was as modern scholars and academics consider the first state, welfare state in history. And he did the same thing to Christians. Okay. And the other thing, he talked about, I think Mr. Bassem, about technology and the rights of women or something like this. I'm sorry, I just, the memory doesn't help me at all at this moment. But he said something about the rights of women, I think, something like this.
Yes, you talked about them being oppressed and so on, and there is a lot of sexism and a lot of gender inequality. So
yeah. And it has been now common sense that Islam is the most religion that helped women and give them the rights until this moment. You just need to study to get more information about this. And I'm talking about Islam when it's applied to the letter, not this Islam that's we're having in our world now. Yes, I agree that we don't have Islam as applied in full, imperfect now. It's imperfect, of course, because we don't have whoever to carry the message, the right message. But back then, at the time of the Prophet and his khulafa, his caliphates, the people who followed them in ruling the Muslim states, yes, we had the right society, the complete society. And I have writings about this, by the way. Just to answer the question, I'm just excited, but I'm not angry. I just want to clarify something, okay? And sorry for the interruption.
It's okay. So, Bassem, do you want
I can respond to that. Yeah, I can respond. Yeah, of course, very respectfully, and I thank him for taking on my point. So about having a social assistance for the disabled. So I disagree because that happened in the Roman history, in when Christianity became the official religion of the Roman uh, the Roman uh, the Roman world.
Empire?
Yeah, it's they started to from Christianity. They started to have charity organizations and helping the poor. It's even embedded in the Christian writings, where it says that the followers of Jesus, the 11 disciples, they asked the followers to sell their property and to give it to the poor, and they even the money that came out from the properties was given to the 11 disciples, and they did like an organization where they would hand out money according to your need. So we could see that happening even in the first Christian community, the first Christian church, and it was adopted after that by the Roman Empire in smaller scale, but it grew with the growth of charity organizations, with the introduction of hospitals. There was no idea of hospitals before Christianity, so I could see that happening even before Islam. About the rights of women, unfortunately, the history just doesn't support it. We don't have even one female ruler in any Islamic country in any part of history. With the only exception could be Pakistan, where we had one time Benazir Bhutto, the prime minister. I think that is the only exception. Other than that, I couldn't see even one female ruler in any Islamic country in the whole Islamic history. The other thing is the slavery. Again, I'm saying all religions are guilty of supporting slavery, so not only Islam. So I respectfully disagree. I find these values were, and also I don't want to go into that, but like transgenders, like they faced a lot of persecution because of the Abrahamic religions. So these issues were only resolved when secularism started tackling these issues.
Okay, now, definitely, of course, again, we agreed from the beginning that we're not going to have a debate. But again, of course, I thank both sides for sharing these valuable comments. I would personally, again, have a lot of follow-up questions to both sides, but I'd rather have these follow-up questions answered more properly in coming episodes, because to fully tackle such subjects, it would take a very, very long time. It's impossible to cram everything just in one episode. It's just impossible to do. Last but never least, and again, last for this episode and not last for the discussion, because the discussion will go on in coming episodes. But Essam, like with the sweeping tide of atheism and whatnot that is taking place in the world and in a lot of the advanced countries today, in any kind of surveys they would make, they would find that teenagers and youth, like percentage of atheism is more than 50%. So, how do you see the future? Like, do you see that the future is for atheism, agnosticism, or is it more for dogmas, for creeds, for beliefs, and for religion?
Yes, I think with all the misguidance we have around us in this world and distortions and contradictions and like distractions, and some of them are like meant to be, and in this capitalist world that only runs after the making money and maximizing the gain and wealth, I think yes, we are going on a path toward more irreligion, if we can say. You call it atheism or whatever. Yeah, but we are going toward more irreligion or irreligious attitudes. But I think this will be to a point, because as Muslims we believe that there is a point that God will interfere. He will come with his will to rectify or correct what's going on. Just in short.
Okay, thank you very much, Sam. And Bassem, again, last but never least, is again, we see a lot of attempts for missionaries, a lot of attempts to spread different faith and beliefs through media, through sending messengers from one church or one mosque and so on and so forth. So, do you think that the future will be again for atheism and non-belief, agnosticism, or is it more for religion and faith?
So, yes, so with the problem with both Christianity and Islam, they adopt the idea that God will intervene in history at some point and he will make things better. And we've been, like both religions have been waiting for this to happen, and it just doesn't happen. Both have predicted that it's going to happen soon, and it doesn't happen. So I don't believe that the future says that there's going to be an intervention from the sky. I see the future is going where people are knowing more. We have much more knowledge now than before. It's very easy to access information. It's very easy to find the flaws in all the ideas put forward by religion. So, and even by the idea of having a good God, a merciful God, taking care of this world. So I think the future is going towards people getting more questions, getting more doubts, more people becoming agnostic, more people becoming atheist. And even if the trend is different in our from back home where we come from the Middle East, I think in the West it's going very fast towards atheism and agnosticism.
Really, at the end, I really have to deeply thank both of you for having such a civilized discussion and for setting a proper example for a proper, advanced, civilized discussion. So both guests here, you had disagreements and many times you're at the two ends of the spectrum, but however, nevertheless, mutual respect was always there. Nobody ever tried to intimidate or attack or oppress the other. So I really sincerely thank you very much. Assam and Bassem, thank you very much for being with me. I really look forward to having you time and again in this program. Thank you very much for your fruitful discussion.
Thank you, Muhammad, and thank you, Mr. Assam.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being with me again. And dear viewers, if we were to come to a wrap-up or a conclusion here, really, I think the biggest gain from this episode is the ability of humans to discuss, to have like a mind-to-mind discussion, and without stereotypes, without stigmas, without bigotry, without, pointing fingers at other people, calling them names, intimidating them, trying to slander them. And this is something we really miss in this day and age, in most of the world by and large, but again in other parts of the world. And that's why I really thank both of our guests for setting a great example and role model for everyone. At the end of the day, like both atheists, non-believers, agnostic people, deist people, and theists or religious people, dogmatic people, whatever you want to call them, both sides, they would like their ends actually, and their goal is to achieve and reach what is best for the well-being and the welfare of humanity. Each one has a different perspective. So I think, like, on the facade, they might totally disagree, but again, in essence, again, there are a lot of meeting points here, because the tactics might be very different, but the general strategy or scheme might be similar, in that they want to achieve the well-being. But again, of course, obviously, each one of them sees that the other side is not doing it. It is not achievable by the other side. And again, the final decision is for our dear viewers here. And now the role of this program is not to impose any ideas, and is not to make any kind of propaganda for any side over the other. Like, the final decision is for the dear viewers. But I strongly implore everyone here, before taking a decision to take this side or that side or whatever, is to just be fair to yourself and try to think out of the box. Try to isolate yourself from all kinds of divisive rhetoric and all kinds of social noise. Try to have your mind clear and think in as much as possible in the most objective way. Use your mind, use your heart, use your intellect, use your spirit and soul, and then whatever conclusion you reach is yours. And nobody would be held accountable for any decision you take except yourself. So neither Bassem nor Sam nor myself would be held accountable for your decision. The decision is yours. Dear viewers, thank you very much for following us, and until we meet again, I hope you have a very pleasant time.